Guys, you have to realize that sometimes getting the facts are a little tough. And I want to, again, help you understand we're a little wired for this reality to happen. So let me just give you that little test, all right, that's been done for you. I want you to go ahead. You're going to count every F you're about to see right here, all right? So here we go. Finished files are the result of years of scientific study combined with the experience of years. Now, statistically, most people see 3 Fs. There are actually 6. And the reason they have difficulty with that is because our brain has difficulty actually ascertaining the word of. We don't see that very well. And so even when we're trying to look for something, we can quickly skip over something because we're trying to do that and something doesn't click. Guys, we have to realize that means we're going to have to pay attention. We're going to have to take some time to talk. To be able to get the facts, there's going to have to be clarity to do that. James chapter 1, verse 19 says, let everybody be quick to hear, slow to speak, and slow to anger. Now think about that. We listen a lot, but we're really slow to speak in anger because the reality is we have a chance to be able to get the facts. I got to tell you, over almost 40 years of ministry now, I've had lots of people come to me for marital counseling. And a variety of different times I've actually said to them, well, let's do this. For the next week or maybe 2 weeks or whatever, what I want you to do is I want you to just take 30 minutes a day, just the two of you, uninterrupted, and just talk. I cannot tell you how many of those people came back to me and go, yeah, we don't need to talk to you anymore. We're good. Guys, communication is kind of like that. Now, having said that, let me also help you understand something. This won't resolve every problem. Let me show you what I mean by that. If you look here, you can start with a mutual understanding, not jump to conclusions, and get the facts first, and then still have a real problem with someone. Guys, there are real problems that we have to deal with that aren't the result of a misunderstanding. That's a whole different principle, a whole different group of principles to be able to resolve that. But this helps us to be able to avoid those misunderstandings. Now, I want you to think how excited the people were. Phinehas and the group there, when they heard what was going on, they were so thrilled because they cared about these people. These people had been very helpful to them. They didn't want to have this civil war that was going to happen. And so when they found out that instead of rejecting God, they were still obeying God, still following God, and what they were doing was actually a good thing. This altar, it was actually a good thing that they were doing. It made sense that they wanted to make sure that that problem in the future never happened. So what's interesting is it says that they named the altar. Now, they named it in Hebrew, but in the Hebrew, the way we would translate it, the translation would be Ed. Yeah, E-D, Ed. Ed means a witness. All right? Now, the reason I bring that up is because I think it's so important we understand that God has given us a much better basis for peace than just Ed. All right? Than just a witness. First of all, what he did for us. Colossians chapter 1, verses 19 through 21 says, for it was the Father's good pleasure for all the fullness to dwell in him and through him to reconcile all things to himself, having made peace through the blood of his cross. Through him, I say, whether things on earth or things in heaven. And although you were formerly alienated and hostile in mind, engaged in evil deeds, he has now reconciled you. Guys, the whole idea is, he said, because of Christ, we don't have to depend on some kind of reconciliation that's just Ed. But instead of that, it's not just a witness. It's the reality, because of Christ, we have a bridge to God. So that all fits in where we need to be with that. In addition to that, God tells us how to be able to live in this world. Romans chapter 12, verse 18 says, if possible, so far as it depends on you, be at peace with all people. So he says, all right, do everything you need to do. Do your side of it, regardless of what happens, to try and be at peace. And then he helps out. Proverbs chapter 16, verse 7 says, when a person's way is pleasing to the Lord, he makes even his enemies to be at peace with him. Guys, every step of the way, God says, I've got a way for you to have real peace. But when it comes to misunderstandings, guys, we first of all get a mutual understanding, a real one that we can have. We, based on that, don't jump to conclusions. And the way that we do that is by getting the facts first. That walks us through a process to ultimately be able to get rid of a lot of misunderstandings, to have a more stress-free life, and to be able to follow God effectively with our life. Let's do that this week.